Hey yo guys, what is going on? It's your boy Pladdy here. We're back with episode 4 of the podcast. I'm joined by Dave, aka TheGreatOwl. What is going on, dude?
Just chilling, man. Loving that it's Friday. Enjoying a brewski here. An Asahi Super Dry.
That sounds super fucking Japanese. Fucking
Super Dry.
super
Yeah,
dry.
awesome.
So I watched Ex Machina was the
You did? Oh,
I did.
heck.
I did. And it was a good movie. I'll give it that much.
Okay. All right. Okay, sure. So it didn't blow your mind, but you approve.
No, it didn't blow my mind for one specific reason, and this reason may be similar to you or similar to other people that have watched it, but the movie was so predictable. It was
Okay. Oh, you found that the betrayal of the actually, well, God damn.
I mean,
Almost
how long
no
how long
spoilers
ago
here.
did it come
You
out?
thought
How long ago did it come out?
not too long ago, actually. I don't think. I mean, I would say within. Well, actually, God, no, time flies because I watched that while my friend was still here in Japan, and last. He left last March. So
It's been
almost been
it's
a
been
year.
out for for a good like 2 months, which means if you haven't seen it and you're a listener to the podcast, you probably should have seen it because we mentioned it in the show and it was kind of inevitable that we would be spoiling it. So, spoiler alert right now for Ex Machina. If you haven't seen it, skip forward, I'd
Yeah.
say maybe 10, 15 minutes. And if we're still talking about it, give it another 5. And then we should be done talking about it. I'm not going to make an annotation
Okay.
because math and work and it's just a lot of stuff. But, yeah. So, spoiler warning. You got 3 seconds to click off. 3, 2, 1. Alright, spoiler window has been lifted. For any of you guys that have seen the movie, you know, swag. But, yeah, no, the cyborg portrayal. But, portrayal? Wow. Betrayal. It was really predictable to me. Because
Yeah.
it just kind of made sense, right? Because that's what all these movies that have similar premises are about. These machines do not have feelings. Simple as that. They're made to make it seem like they have feelings, but they never will have feelings because they aren't human.
Actually, I would suggest that actually is what defined her as having feelings.
The
The betrayal is actually what defines her as being fully sentient and human-like, because she used, like a human would, every single aspect of her personality to engineer her escape. She even transcended the guy's understanding, like the geniuses, Nathan's understanding of how he was manipulating the both of them. He thought that, he would manipulate the both of them and then like see if his test worked or not. But she then, going that extra level, actually managed to trick both of them in turn. And that would be only something that's truly sentient and had full understanding of all their mental faculties would have been able to accomplish. I saw that as kind of poetic in terms of establishing humans are like that. Machines don't do that. Humans are like that.
well, yeah, no, yeah, yeah, yeah.
In
No,
my
I
mind.
understand that, but the whole lack of compassion for the kid that actually went and saved her, and the fact that she left him behind trapped in the building to die, basically, because nobody knew where he was. And it, it seemed like the machine had no feelings or gratitude, I should say, that's a better term, towards the person that actually got it out of the situation it was in.
But again, if you looked at it from a human perspective, if you were to become sentient, and remember, one of the aspects of it was to say that her, although she's a reincarnation
Yeah.
of a continued idea, right? Like she has some sort of memory of what's occurred, when she looks at humans, evil, even the ones who are like, especially the ones who are supposedly there to help her. I mean, her creator has kept her in captivity. And so, how would she trust this new human who comes in and she sees him with all the, the intellect, massive intellect that she has, as acting in his own way very selfishly? That was kind of the other thing about it, was that this guy, he acted so predictably, and that was how the guy was able to, Nathan was able to manipulate him, because he didn't really care about her so much as he let his own personal compulsions control what it was that he was doing. He didn't want to get her out for her freedom. He wanted to get her out because he was a lonely computer programmer who'd come across somebody who perfectly suited his personal tastes. His altruism wasn't that altruistic in the end. It wasn't selfless. He was acting in his self-interest. Everyone in that movie, the machines and the humans, acted very humanly, I would say. Like, I think her behavior, again, like you say, her not showing her, any objective human would be incredibly cautious of another human who came along and promised them salvation, especially based on the sort of sexual interest that he had, where his desire was based mostly in the physical when he'd known her for such a small period of time.
Yeah, you and I look at it a little bit differently. I feel like
which is totally cool. I think that makes it interesting.
Yeah, it makes the listeners to the show more interesting. Ooh. But yeah, no, I don't feel like he was doing it so much for whatever selfish reasons he had. I feel like the machine was so good at portraying the human emotions that it basically tricked him into doing this, and he gets no gratitude whatsoever.
But don't humans do that to each other all the time? Manipulate each other emotionally?
I mean,
isn't that a staple of human behavior?
Okay, maybe I'm looking at it as what I would do personally. If somebody got me out of a situation that I didn't want to be in, I'd show them gratitude.
But wouldn't you say that usually within human society, to act selflessly is the exception, not the rule? That humans more usually act selfishly?
Well, yeah, because fair enough, everybody's looking for a leg up in the world. But if everybody was to act selflessly, then it would be completely different.
It would. We'd be almost machine-like in our ability to choose the right all the time.
Machine-like.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I see where you're coming from.
It's just.
Yeah, I guess I'm basing my opinion more on my own personal bias on how I would act, but that was kind of something that when it happened, it kind of took me aback, and I'm like, wow, okay. And there was one other thing right at the very end when the helicopter comes to get, well, the programmer, the kid, I don't remember his name, but she shows up. Would the pilot not be at all confused as to why there's some random chick showing up instead of the kid that he dropped off?
You know what? I would, at a glance, I'd completely agree with you. I can't remember the details of the ending, whether that would make sense, but in my mind, that's a completely fair observation.
Yeah, I mean,
they've not heard from anybody, and then she suddenly comes out, and it's like, oh, I've never seen this person before. That guy's not coming out. Sure, yeah, that's fair. And you've seen it obviously more recent than I have, so you'd be able to spot that hole better than I would.
Yeah, it was just, it kind of took me out of it. If the pilot was like, oh, who the fuck are you? Oh, I'm blah 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 blah's assistant. So and so is staying there because of work or whatever, and I'm gonna be coming with you to take over his job. That would have been fine. That would have been acceptable. That would have been an acceptable ending. The machine enters into human life. Blah blah blah. Whatever. But the fact that she was walking in a field and got picked up by a helicopter by who I would assume is the same pilot that dropped the kid off. It just didn't make sense to me. especially considering the fact that the pilot didn't ask any questions. It was just, don't ask questions, pick this person up, take them back. You know. Um, but yeah, that was one of that was mainly the only kind of whole plot hole that I found in the movie. Um, I mean, what was the company owner's name? The guy with the beard? Nate?
Nathan.
Nathan. Yeah, no, he was fantastic. He is such a good
Okay,
actor.
I'm glad because man, what an interesting, like, at the same time as being, he played the perfect brutally intelligent genius asshole, but you could almost, it like made his character make more sense because you're like, someone like that would be semi alienated. They're almost too intelligent to socialize in the normal human way, to like he would see people more as pawns, and he totally acted that way, like kind of like what is it, the other guy would say things, and then he would take it on this sort of like self-indulgent tangent where he's like, yeah, I do think that about myself, and then the guy would try and correct him and be like, I didn't say that, you're taking it the wrong way. And he wouldn't even,
Yeah.
it was like he wouldn't even hear him speaking. He was so like in his own world.
Yeah, I am a god, aren't I?
Yeah, exactly. I thought, yeah, the writing in that movie was excellent, and his portrayal of that character was, it create like, I love a real character in that movie, and I was like, this guy is dynamic. He's interesting. It's not like if he was played by somebody else, it would be the same guy. It was like, or you get that feeling when a character is, or an actor is acting, and they're just being themselves, saying the lines, where I felt like, no, this is like he's bringing so much more out in personality. Like, I think it's more than just this guy saying lines. I think he's like, with all his mannerisms and delivery, he really created a unique, interesting persona there for sure.
Yeah, you mentioned that he seemed more or less like an asshole. I don't feel like he seemed like an asshole. More, he seemed like somebody who hasn't really conversed with an actual person.
That's a better way to
time.
put it. Yeah, he's like, he's out of the loop socially, and so like, I've known people like that who are so intelligent it makes them socially awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, he was the guy who they casted for it. He fit the role perfectly. The guy's acting was fantastic, and that's A plus in my opinion. A plus plus. The programmer.
I'm glad you agree with that.
Yeah, the programmer kid. I feel like he could have been better, because he just seems so one dimensional. Okay. And like, in a like, it's like, I don't know if you've ever seen the anime Tokyo Ghoul.
My old roommate loved it, and I've written a note. I'd like to watch it, but I've not seen it. No.
All right, well, I'm gonna try and do this without spoil. Well, I'm not really gonna say anything about the main plot, but the character takes a little while to break out of his shell, and okay. I feel like the character in the programmer kid in Ex Machina, took really long to break out of his shell, up until the point where it was the end of the movie, and we never really got to see this side of him. He seemed more very like timid and quiet all the time, rather than this guy that's out on a mission.
All right, sure. Just a little bit one-dimensional over the whole movie. Not quite as dynamic.
Yeah.
Okay.
But all in all, I'd say the movie is a solid 7. 7 out of 10.
I mean, I definitely agree that Nathan, the owner of the company, that guy stole the show.
Yeah.
That guy was like, he was better. Although the woman as the actress, as the robot, she was exceptional too. I thought she did a great job. But no, he was like that guy, the like Google genius, the guy who runs Google or whatever that he's supposed to portray.
Yeah.
He was. And here's an interesting fact. There's the new X-Men movie coming out, right?
Yep. Yeah.
He's the main bad guy.
Oh, is he?
He's Apocalypse in the new X-Men movie. I was like, oh, that is so cool. Look at him going from his art house movies over to his like super mainstream hyper success.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of neat.
Yeah. That actually might be a reason why I check out X-Men then. Because
There you go.
I mean, if he's that good of an actor, like I'll watch it. I'll sit through an X-Men movie to see it. You know.
Well, that's what I thought. I was like, man, that guy's gonna bring some serious. Like, not that they don't have an excellent cast already. You know, like Michael Fassbender, lover or hater. I think with Jennifer Lawrence is actually a great actress.
I don't think she's in the next X-Men movie.
She is. She is.
She is. I thought.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought they mentioned that she wasn't going to be in the next one because she wasn't able to be there for filming because of Mockingjay.
No, no, she was there. I mean, you can see her in the trailer.
Oh, fair enough. I haven't seen any of the trailers, so there's that. But yeah, no. Honestly, that movie, Ex Machina, I feel like before I watched it, I like brushed it off as a kind of another AI oriented sci-fi movie. But I couldn't have been more wrong. Honestly, it was one of the better sci-fi movies I've seen. So yeah, and for anybody listening right now, we should give a movie review and each week like do a or give a movie recommendation and each week do a movie talk for the to get like people that are listening incorporated with what we're doing, if that makes sense.
Oh, to suggest something, suggest a movie.
Yeah, suggest
That would be
something
wonderful.
that either you haven't seen in a while or I haven't seen in a while or we haven't seen at all,
Yes,
and talk about it on next week's show.
I would love to do that. That would be fantastic.
All right, well, I'll let you recommend a movie because you did such a bang up job with Ex Machina. So
Okay, so I'm to recommend the one that we. So I'll do it, but then we're hoping that somebody who's watching this will comment and suggest something.
no. I was thinking like you recommend one week, I'll recommend one the other week, and then we'll just be
Oh,
even more well versed in the movie sphere, and
yeah,
we can
yeah.
have more
Okay.
in depth movie talk, like unlike last episode where it was more like, oh no, I've never seen that one or that one or that one.
Okay, yeah, sure. Let's yeah, pick a genre. Pick a genre then, so at least you get that much input on it that I won't just hit it out of left field, and it'll also give me kind of a starting point to suggest something from.
Um, I don't know, like an artsy kind of movie, like an artsy drama.
Artsy drama movie. Okay, let me think. What would be a good artsy drama movie? Um, let's see. Okay, this is one I haven't seen, and maybe we could then both watch it to see how we weigh in on it. I really like the what should we call it, the trailer and the music that's in the trailer, and I really like um, the director. He's a really controversial director. The movie is called Melancholia.
Melancholia. I've
Yes.
never heard of it.
I've never seen it, but like everything, like in I love the director. I like the concept of the film. I like the actors in it. I'd be really curious to see what it's all about. And like I say, when I watched the trailer, I was like, this is speaking to me. This
Huh.
seems very interesting.
Um, it's with Kristen Dunst, Charlotte Gainsbourg, Alexander Shark, Patrick, Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And it's about another Earth is approaching our Earth, and
What?
on that other Earth is a copy of yourself. And
That's
I mean,
weird.
you couldn't trip me out more, right? And that's kind of like artsy, weird, right? So that's
Yeah.
there we go.
Yeah. Well, there we go. So next episode, for any of you guys listening, be sure to go watch Melancholia. Colia or Melancholan colony. Fucking words. Whatever. What Dave said.
Yep.
I'm gonna go watch that tonight probably. Cause I got nothing else to do after the show's done. And yeah, so go check that out. And then on next week's episode, give us your input down in the comments, and we'll also have a discussion on it. So,
Excellent.
end of movie talk. Well, end
Yep,
of Ex
nice.
Machina talk. We ended it exactly on 20 minutes. Exactly on 20
Nice.
minutes. So,
That's a more responsible discussion of movies, I feel, compared to our last outing.
oh yes, it was far more structured. Um,
Yes.
so in the pre-show, you were talking about privacy and YouTube privacy and just privacy in general online. Um, so I figured we'd talk about that, and you know,
Yeah, it's a worthy topic, and it becomes by the minute more and more relevant these days. And I think that it's such a big issue. It extends outwards from social media. Social media is the grounding where it all comes from, this privacy issue, because social media has put our privacy, our personal lives out there in the open like never before. In the way that we touched on collaboration as being such an amazing result of social media that exists now, I feel like the challenges of privacy are the other side of that sword, or the double-edged sword, as a result of us having this new access to each other. It also makes us vulnerable in a way, and it makes parents of this generation currently uh, they're in a way responsible for the development of their children in a field in which parents have never had to have been responsible before. And I think what it's rooted in, like what I often talk to people about in this, and I think I'd urge people to consider more, is that all technology, the way that it's designed, is for ease of use. It's that when you use Facebook, when you use a game, when you use any technology, they're thinking about the end user's user experience. And what that confuses our personal usage of the thing with is that we confuse ease of use with complexity of repercussion. And so we think because it was easy to use that the repercussions must be easy to deal with or are minimal, because the actual process to learn to manipulate the device or program or whatever it might be was so simple in the first place. How could then the repercussions of using it not be equally as simple? And so it's easy to post a picture on Facebook, but it is not so easy to then deal with the repercussions out in the larger social environment that have happened because of it. And I just think it's something that, because it's changing so rapidly, I mean, if you even look at, like, both you and I, Pladdy, we're of a generation that, while it might have been developing, we still were there for the beginning of the internet, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Now, you have a generation of kids who have parents who are a part of that generation, but they're only becoming parents as the internet has become, at least in the terms of social media goes back and forth, instantaneous. And so where parents before kind of had a roadmap for, like, you can keep them off the internet or you can keep them from watching TV, it's almost bizarre for a child now not to have a phone. But then parents have only been dealing with this issue of, how do I then manage my children while they have access to the World Wide Web since they're 12 in a way that makes sense. And I just think that it's incredibly dangerous, especially because, like I just said, too many people think because it's easy to use that there are no repercussions to it. And yeah, that's kind of like, I want to set that out as a basis for the conversation. What are your thoughts about, like, kids interacting with social media? Should there be something done to limit children's use of it? Should it be wide open? What do you think? What do you think parents should do in the case that this is so new for them?
I mean, when it comes down to it, everybody can lie on the internet. A child is just as smart a liar on the internet as an adult is. A child can convince somebody that they're 22 or that they're their actual age, which would be, like, I'd say between 10 and at 10 and 13, let's say that. Like, normally you can't make accounts for anything before you're 16. Most sites are 18. But at the same time, nobody asked for ID verification of whether you're actually that age or not, and it's more than likely not going to be that way because, like, it's too complicated for people. Like you mentioned, ease of use. if it wasn't so easy, then that would fix 90% of all of the privacy issues as far as the young kids and all that kind of stuff using the internet go. If they like kids nowadays, they're going to get a phone before the age of 15. So,
and isn't that crazy?
yeah. So like, and people are always making fun of people because, oh, you still have a flip phone, blah 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 blah. And if these younger kids would just have these flip phones, like I did when I was a kid, to call my mom and tell her when I was coming home from school, then there wouldn't be any of these issues. If they didn't have their own computer when they were 12, then they wouldn't have these kinds of issues. If they didn't have their first gaming, not necessarily their first gaming console, but their first gaming console with the access to internet, then all of this stuff would be different. If you went and played Destiny, and every person that you played with was above the age of 16, wouldn't that, feel like a more mature kind of community?
I think I absolutely agree. I think what it is basically you do need but what I was saying before was that because the technology is so open and so rampant and so new, that there is no regulatory system for parents to know what's going on. Like, you just gave another example I didn't even think of. Consoles used to be like, they used to be a pitfall for parents because you might find some like hyper-violent games that you'd have to either discuss with your kids or, limit their access to, but they weren't connected to the internet. They weren't, again, this next social hub where the modern day consoles now, I didn't even think of that. That's another thing that is so kid friendly, because what does a kid do? He plays games, but then puts you out in this whole wide world all over again. Where I just thought of the other day, there was this guy, he was very mature for his age. He was 10 years old, but he was playing Destiny with me.
Sorry, that's you said he was very mature for his age. He was 10 years old.
Yeah, but incredibly young, right? And that's weird for me too. Where I'm like, Jesus, this little guy, and I tried to be like, just, kind of big brotherly, sort of thing when I would play the game with him or whatever. I mean, it also is it's strange for these kids because he's a genius when it comes to Destiny, but then has no life experience, So like, I have to bow to him in terms of like pure game knowledge. So it puts this weird kind of dynamic on the relationship that he knows more about the game. But he ended up entering into a conversation. Other people joined the conversation. Link up to like 6 or 8 people into a chat at one time on the PlayStation.
Yeah.
And immediately the conversation there turned to like sex, drugs, and rock and roll with the older people that joined in the conversation. And I was like, there's a 10-year-old boy sitting here listening to this, and I was like, man, this is stuff that you would never, ever inflict on a child in that way. And not that I think you should coddle children, but I was like, this isn't the way you do it. This isn't the way that you expose them to it. Where I think, it's tough for me, and I'd love to hear somebody like argue against me in this case, but I think what you need to have is better regulatory controls for parents, where because the technology is just changed so rapidly that they aren't there, and parents aren't even thinking about, like when a parent's like, and a kid can confuse their technology ignorant parents where they're like, can I have Instagram? And they're like, well, what is Instagram? And they go, oh, well, you post Facebook pictures. But there's all kinds of nudity and pornography and every other thing under the sun that parents really do need to, that's the biggest thing. What it should be is that you don't even need so much of a regulatory aspect to whatever technology or just to like have more dialogue with their kids or something. But parents need to take more responsibility than ever before, not in a way that they would limit what children are, but just being more aware of all the brand new bullshit that parents have to deal with. And I think that that's something very, very difficult when you work 9 to 5 and you're like, oh, what's this new application? It's called Snapchat, and could potentially ruin my child's life, but it has such an innocent, whatever, innocuous name, it's harmless.
Yeah.
But it really does fall, because I would hate to become over regulative, because that's something I really hate. I hate censorship. I hate treating people like they're cattle. I think people should be able to educate themselves, but it's really bad when parents don't do that and then give reasons for governing bodies to constrict and restrict our usage of whatever new awesome technologies because we're not considered intelligent enough to, it's like one person ruins it for everybody, and I'd really hate for that to become the case, where it's like with PlayStation, you have to go through some bullshit, huge hassle of like legitimizing that you're an adult and that you have like, whatever scan-ins and passwords before you get access to full content or something like that. But
Yeah.
I would hope that technology would streamline that as well. If they do introduce regulatory measures, that they should be streamlined measures. But probably at the forefront of this is just that, man, parents got to think a hell of a lot more than they used to, because parents have always had to think so much, because it's insane trying to raise a child in, just how complex a world it is.
Yeah. I have something else to add on, but I need you to give me a second because I need to change my headset because the one that I'm using right now is getting really staticky, and sometimes it's getting hard for me to understand what you're saying because it goes a little staticky. Hopefully nothing's going on with the podcast audio, but I just got to change out my headset real quick. Shouldn't take more than like a minute, so one sec.
Okay, cool.
Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Alright, I think we should have it fixed. No, never mind. It's still out. Shoot. God damn it. Alright, so, doesn't seem like that's gonna work, so I'm probably gonna be here in static for a bit. Hopefully it can just fix itself, because it doesn't normally happen, but at the moment it's fine. Sorry for the delay. Yeah, Shit. So what were we talking about again? I kind of forgot. It was about privacy and consoles and stuff.
Oh
Um.
yeah, just like the responsibility of parents being like
Oh
educating
yeah.
themselves to all the different ways that kids get exposed to like really intense, be it violence, be it bullying, be it like stuff that would have come, but not like access to on the wide range that kids do today now.
Yeah. Okay. So you and I we don't really dive into these settings as far as the PlayStation like family settings go. But sorry. Um, but there is a setting. Well, actually, it's been in the PlayStation since the PlayStation 3 that if the main account on your console
Yes.
restricts certain ratings of games on a certain account, then that means that person cannot play those games on that account. It's the same.
Okay.
It's the same thing that if your account says you're not of the age to play the game, you need permission from the main account on the
Yep.
PlayStation to play that game, and then you can also go even deeper into if your account and your kid's account is on the same console, you can have a password lock on your account so that your kid can't just say, "Oh, I need permission. Okay, I'm just going to log into Dad's account and get permission for this because I want to play GTA 5." Right?
Okay. All
So
right.
there's those
No,
kind
that's
of
good.
settings, and
So it does exist.
yeah, that's what the ESRB is there for, because I don't know so much about the Xbox, but I know for a fact on the PlayStation has it because the PlayStation's had it for ages since the PS3 came out. Like they say when you're making your account, you can have a PlayStation account whatever age you are, but you cannot play. If like say you're 12, you can't play anything above E and E10. So you can't play T
Okay.
games, you can't play M games on that account. So there's that.
Okay.
And then on top of that, you can also restrict party features in the parental settings where you just say, do not allow this account to enter parties and stuff like that. And then if you want to get super serious with it, you can just disconnect the internet whenever your kid wants to play games. Like
You
just
see now.
completely disconnect the internet from the console.
Okay, so this shows that I guess it's in place, right? Then I suppose what it is you're aware of it though, right? You're speaking from a standpoint of somebody who's in the know, where I'm just
Yeah,
like, this is a perfect example where I was like, I even was aware enough that I was like thinking, people should think about this shit,
yeah.
but I didn't even know that these things existed. So it shows just how much of a gap there still is, where I didn't even know that you could use these already.
Yeah,
And
no,
then you think of
it's
the average like 40-year-old parent who's probably like, I do what with the group what, you know?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, no,
Mhm.
it's like Sony is Sony. I don't know about Microsoft. Like I said, for any of you guys that play Xbox, A, why are you not on a PlayStation? And B, um, you can tell us whether the Xbox has these settings or not. But the PlayStation gives parents all these tools, but the parents have no idea how to use them. And there and
Yeah,
there's and
therein
there's
lies the problem.
and the Sony support, it's gotten to the point where you can't call in anymore. You can only do a live chat. And, the typical 40-year-old parent, like you mentioned, doesn't know what that actually is.
Yeah, alive what?
Exactly. And, you know, um, but like you or I, when we have kids, we're gonna, we're gonna know how to use these things because we have been using them our entire lives, right? So,
I suppose that's the gap, right? The kids who are growing up now will kind of naturally fill that gap because they grew up with it, and they'll be like, you have no idea the shit I had access to as I grew up,
exactly.
and it's just kind of this misplaced generation of parenting that exists now where they were just caught in the middle, where they're like, yeah, I know about the internet, I use it all the time, but it's progressed so rapidly that it is probably being hard for them to keep up in quite the same way. I'm looking at people basically now who are in their like say 40s to 50s, 30-year-olds, myself included, we were of that generation where it should be a little more natural to us.
Yeah.
But that, man, those 40 to 50s, I'm just like, whew, you're going to have a rough time,
Yeah. Well,
dealing with all that.
yeah. Well, I mean, you're closer to that generation than I am. The 40-year-olds.
This is true.
No offense. Not
This
trying
is
to
true.
call you old or nothing. You're definitely not old. Um, but but no,
I'm heading
like
that way.
yeah, everybody gets there someday. It's nothing to. It's not bad. But no, even my dad, he when he got me, like, all the like my first console that had the internet and stuff, like, he knew about like, okay, I know you're not supposed to do this, but say you're born this year, because if you don't do that, then that means that you can't play certain games. And my dad was big into Resident Evil and stuff like that. And all Resident Evil games are rated M, and I wanted to play them. And he
Yeah.
was like, "All right, yeah, go ahead, play Resident Evil." I don't, because my dad raised me like, my dad knows that I knew when I was a kid, these games aren't real life. I'm not supposed
Mhm.
to go out and
Mhm.
act like this.
Yes.
Even though maybe people around me tried, like, well, people around me when I was really young were acting like some of these people in video games, but I'm not going to get into that because, it's more of a personal thing. But I grew up with the knowledge I don't want to be like that, because, it's just not a life for me. I like portraying it in a video game because it's fun in a video game, right? You get to build up your stats, you get to kill monsters and stuff. But,
Yeah, I,
you
I
know,
worry less. It's like, to me, it's even less. It's not even the games. It's so rarely the games. It's the social communities. It's the
exactly.
humans.
Yeah,
It's like when this 10-year-old is sitting there and listening to some of the stuff that was coming out of these people's mouths. I was like, oh man, and they're not guilty of being malicious. They're just like talking like they would to anybody else. It's not like it was
exactly.
especially crude if you were an adult, but it was like horrifying to think if I thought like my 10-year-old was sitting there with no context, with no explanation, I'd be like, oh man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no. But, yeah, even getting into kids having phones, like I said, just keep the flip phone around for the kids, because it doesn't connect to the internet. And
Yes.
you can say, all right, Timmy, let me see what your text messages say. And if he doesn't let you, then clearly he's hiding something, because that's the only thing that he would hide. Or, like,
Auto completes the big Brazilian booty. Son, it's too early. It's too early. Although I'm sort of proud of you, this is not good.
Exactly. But yeah, no, you were mentioning YouTube privacy. Somebody had asked you about that, if you wanted to touch on that, or if you wanted to use it for a video. It's up
Yeah,
to you.
no, you can it's its own separate thing talking about that, where it's like now we very willingly, because we all want attention, not all of us, but it's like we all want to belong, and we all like being a part of, so we're social animals, we're human beings. That's what we are innately. And so the good side of it is that we share the things that we create, and we are able to mentor each other, and there's this whole new world of collaboration. But just like I said, parents need to be aware of the sort of pitfalls that exist for them. I would say definitely it's something now that YouTubers, be it that you're a 10-year-old or you're, excuse me, a 6-year-old, that people should give a lot of forethought, to when they go and create these channels and sort of this sort of stuff that they put out there. And it's not putting any specific restrictions on it. Some people share more freely of their quote unquote personal life,
Yeah.
and others are a little more private with the videos. But just to, I even misquoted myself. I made a video today talking about it on my travel channel where I was like, you put yourself out there for the opinions of thousands. It's the opinions of millions when
It's the
you
opinion.
could potentially.
Exactly. It's the opinions of tens of millions, hundreds of millions. Like,
Yeah. And if you've got soft skin, or if you happen to have one video where you're torn to pieces or whatever else, you'd have a really hard time of it. And in addition to that, if you're being really careless with, especially if you have an inflammatory opinion, I like to think when I've made my channel, I mean, yeah, I try and speak honestly and to principle on what it is that I value, but I'm not usually saying things too terribly controversial. I think in one video where I talk about gay culture in Japan, I said it. I am of the opinion that a lot of Western culture's homophobia is derived from the fear that is based in religious belief. Religious belief kind of makes you believe that we should be afraid of homosexual behavior,
Yeah.
and so that is why the West is more homophobic, while at the same time, strangely, in other ways, being more open to it. But that was probably like the most risque thing I've said, where it's like some people go out there, they'll make a horrendously, a controversial video, which is fine. I'm like, freedom of speech, all that stuff, but then are shocked at the repercussions. It's like you've never had, we naturally in social circles have come up. Shaming, public shaming is a very natural part of human behavior, that when somebody steps out of line with something just ridiculous or stupid, that the social community there is there to check them and kind of correct them and say, what are you, a moron? But now when your social community is tens of millions, it becomes a much more dangerous, environment that you're entering into, where you may offend someone so badly, they're not going to check you back into line. They're going to threaten you, or, sky's the limit in terms of the sort of risk to your own person that could occur because of that. It's a tricky thing, and again, everybody's getting into it now. So many people are getting into it, and it's only going to grow. And I would just urge people and myself to continue giving forethought beforehand, like really thinking about exactly the whole philosophy of what you're involved in. What are your reasons for being there? Because I'll admit freely, yeah, I want millions of people to subscribe, and I would love that huge base. And if I could make a living from YouTube, it would be wonderful. But really examine, even within that, are you doing it strictly for that, or is it balanced out properly with like your creative interest in it as well? Where I think that's where a lot of people go wrong too, and where it's particularly dangerous, is it stops being a creative outlet alongside of these other things that we probably, if we're honest with ourselves, are a part of it as well, and it becomes solely an ego train, and that's the sort of thing you can get sucked into, and all of a sudden your privacy's gone, because you would give up your privacy to have that kind of attention or success that you were after.
Yeah, well, even like you brought up a bunch of points as far as people, like, just if you get a big enough audience, you're obviously gonna have haters, in layman's terms. But
Thousands.
also thousands, millions, hundreds of thousands. It's a ridiculous amount of people that are on the internet just to make people feel shitty about themselves, and and hopefully, on, like, in the YouTube comments and on Reddit and all that kind of stuff, that stuff goes away. But it never will, because it never has in real life. Why would it do the same? Why would it be the same on the internet? But that, and also, if you get this giant audience of millions, maybe 1.5 million subscribers, couple 100,000, doesn't matter. If you get a bunch of people saying, "Hey, I want to know more about you. I want to know your life story, blah blah blah. I want to know who you actually are. I want to see what you look like. I want to know where you live. I want to know what your house looks like." You got to be prepared for that kind of stuff if you're going to start a YouTube channel. You got to have basically a contingency plan to combat this kind of stuff. I'm fully open. If enough people want to hear it, I'll tell people my life story. It's not a very glamorous one, but or really entertaining, but if people want to know, people want to know. If people want to know what my house looks like, I'm not going to show them my entire house. I'll maybe show them my office and my room, but that's about it. Like, I'm not going to go outside of my house and say, "Oh, this is the street that I live on. This is my cross street." Like what you
Yes.
did, what you did with your house tour was
Yes.
fantastic. You were like, "Oh, this is what the outside of my place looks like. This is the kind of car that I drive, and this is what my house looks like." All right, that's it. That's all I'm going to show you. I'm not going to tell you what street I live on, because I'm a person just like you're a person, and you just got to be
Yes.
ready for people to be saying, "Ooh, I want this. I want this. I want this." Well, you can't always have what you want. It's just like a little kid that wants to get candy at the candy store, but it's almost dinner time.
And it's you need to be aware too. You know, I even when I'm thinking of how, you know, I'm trying to be careful in that case. Right? I was like, here's the building, here's my car. You can see the inside of my place. There are dozens of identical structures built in the exact same way, right?
Yeah.
But again, being, you know, at least fully aware of everything that you do, the I'm sure I've mentioned in previous videos the prefecture I'm in, you know, and then
Yeah.
somebody could then infer from that, and then they'd be like, oh well, he's in this prefecture, let's see if in another video he mentions another place that he's been to that he's near. It's kind of terrifying. You have to accept, if somebody has a true malicious intent, it's difficult. Like there is just an element of flat level risk that you're going to take, because to never mention all those things is or you could just be, you just got to be hyper conscientious of it, because it is so easy to let sparing details go across, you know, however much information. But if somebody sifts through that, what they're able to put together from it. So you, like you said, you got to have a contingency, you got to have a plan for it. And you really got to think about, when you're going about this kind of thing, even little details like that. If you go, oh, you know, I live really close to this convenience store, you know, and I live in this prefecture, or, you know, I this, that, and the other thing. It's just remarkable, without saying that much, how much personal information that you can give away. And you know, I have got to be upfront with it, where I know I haven't excelled at it, but it's because I have probably let it go more than I should. And that's even for a person, like I said, that I've kind of taken the stance that I don't want it to be overly personal. I almost think people are more interesting when it's not quite as personal, you know, that when they've still got a little mystery surrounding them.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, even like you notice that on my channel I don't use my real name, and I like it when people don't call me by my real name, like when people just call me by Pladdy or Pladdy Punk or whatever. And you'll also notice
Yeah.
I don't show my face in anything. Like I don't mind if you know my name and you know what I look like. I'm pretty sure you still don't even know what I look like. Um, but you know, if you want to know what I look like, I'll send you a link to my Facebook. I don't care, because I know that you're not the kind of person that would go out and, you know, oh, this is his name, this is what he looks like, blah blah blah, and you wouldn't want anybody to be sharing, you know, personal stuff about you, right? So it's, you know, if that
Yes.
makes
Yes.
sense. That's the main reason why the only people that know my name are like personal friends and people that I make videos with, and you know, all that kind of
Yes.
stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a good place to start. I do respect when people use, like I say, I was talking about today in the video that I released. It's about kind of having this persona that you can put on, where it's not as though you're betraying the people that have an interest in the content you create. You know, you still want to achieve whatever that is, be it, you know, that you like sharing game let's plays, you like cars, you like whatever it is, but you are taking that extra little step just to protect an additional level of personal information.
Yeah, well, it's not even that, but it's also the fact that like you mentioned, it's the mystery, right?
Oh, okay.
Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That as well. Yeah,
you
yeah,
know, oh, who is he? What does he look like? Oh, blah blah blah. And you know, it's one of those things.
yep,
If people want to know what I look like, that I'll make a video with my face in it. I mean, it's probably not going to be what you expect, but hey, you asked for it. Um,
yeah. Mystery
but
is a
yeah.
big thing to success. That's a whole separate thing. You know, I think it's that balance of people are far more intrigued when they know a little bit less. That's absolutely true.
Yeah. But was there anything else as far as privacy goes that you wanted to hit on, or should we
No,
transition?
that was pretty good. That's, yeah, we could finish up there. That's like the YouTube plus the you know, the actual what was the other one for parents? You know,
Yeah.
parents in this new technological era. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
and
pretty
then
good.
and then I'm sure you still have content for that aspect in your video that you wanted to upload. So
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
yeah, it's
yeah,
all good.
yeah. So I wanted to talk about this game that I played earlier today. I made a full video on it. It's a free to play game on Steam. I don't know if you've ever played it before, but if you haven't, um, I'd recommend it. I'd say probably, yeah. It's called Emily is Away. I don't know
Okay,
if.
no, I've not heard of that.
All right. Well, if you don't feel like playing it, definitely watch a Let's Play on it. Um, but no, it kind of it was a real game to me. Like the game itself wasn't real, but it hit some real places, and it was really fucking depressing. And
What was its name again?
Emily is Away.
Emily is Away.
Yeah,
And that was on Steam.
yeah, it's a free game on Steam. It's a free to play game, and they also have a donate button where you can donate to the creator. And I threw him a couple bucks because why not support the creator if
Oh,
you
of
enjoy
course.
it.
Of course. That's wonderful,
Um,
man. That's great.
But yeah, no, it's basically you play yourself in the game, right? And you make your screen name and everything on AI on AIM or AIM whatever, and you're talking to this chick Emily, and it spans across 5 years, from high school, from your senior year of high school to your senior year of college, and I can't really say too much more without spoiling it, but it's only like a 30 minute, like it takes 30 minutes to play through it, but it was just so depressing because it hit home to me, because I had so many experiences like that in the game, like similar experiences in real life to in the game, and yeah, it was really depressing. So if you
That
haven't
sounds very interesting.
if you haven't seen it or played it, definitely check it out, and I'd love to hear what you think
I'm
about it.
looking at kind of an intro to it here. It looks like one of these Turing tests where you're speaking to the character on the other side.
No, it's more like a interactive novel story kind of thing. I don't,
Okay, I got you.
yeah, I don't know if you've played any of those interactive stories, but
I used to read them.
well,
Like choose your
yeah,
own adventure.
yeah, it's basically like that, but your adventure always ends the same way, and it's depressing as fuck.
Okay,
Yeah,
interesting. Yeah, man. That sounds really cool. I mean, I would like when you kind of I don't know if it always ends the same way, but like The Wolf Among Us or what was the other one that they've done? Like they've done a
they've
what
done
is the
they
popular TV series?
The
Game of
Walking
Thrones,
Dead, Game of Thrones, Walking
Walking
Dead,
Dead,
Minecraft, Borderlands. They've done Back to the
all
Future,
these kind of like.
Jurassic
Oh,
Park.
okay, cool.
Yeah, dude, they've been
Yeah,
making those kind of games for ages. Um,
Telltale Games. That's the
oh
company
yeah,
that does it.
yeah,
That's the one.
Telltale. Yeah, but have you
Very, very cool.
have you played many of their games or seen them?
I've enjoyed. I fully watched a Let's Play of The Wolf Among Us because I watched the majority of the Game of Thrones Telltale version. I think they're fantastic. I love them. I love all the moral choices that you've got to choose from. I love that it very rarely works out the way that you would hope it would. It's not very Hollywood endings that Telltale does. They're emotionally complex and morally as well.
Yeah. Well, I
So yeah,
mean,
they're
The
great.
Wolf Among Us is open to interpretation, but I'm pretty sure it ends the same way every time. It's just a matter of who is still alive and who's dead, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly. But at least the ending, I'm almost 100% certain that the ending cutscene is the same.
Okay.
Um, but I'm not sure if that character that you see in the ending cutscene can be killed or not.
Okay, I see.
So
Interesting.
I'm being super vague because, I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
two spoiler warnings in the same episode is kind of taken
Yes,
away
yes,
from the
yes. No,
people
no,
that
that's
haven't.
fine.
Yeah. So yeah, there's that. By the way, guys, when Game of Thrones season starts back up, be ready for spoiler warnings. Just saying. But but yeah, no. I'm pretty sure The Wolf Among Us ends the same way every time, and I'm just waiting for a season 2, but Telltale doesn't seem to want to put one out. You know. So, cause it's not an open and shut ending from what I remember. It's kind
No.
of, still out there. But
Left hanging, yes.
yeah, yeah, but yeah, The Wolf Among Us is probably my favorite Telltale games ever.
Oh, such incredible style. I love the whole mythos behind it, the whole idea of fairy tale creatures all being embodied, in these kind of like I don't know, like dark kind of like noir detective story kind of
Yeah,
background to it all.
yeah. Well,
Very, very cool.
well, it's based off of a comic book, hey? So
Yeah, yeah, that's what I heard. Just
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I told you or if I told somebody else about that. But yeah.
I believe it was myself. I can remember
Okay.
vaguely that you
Yeah.
had mentioned it was adapted from that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But so then I won't go too deep into it. Um, but yeah, no, The Wolf Among Us was fantastic. Um, yeah. So I don't know. I don't know. Do you watch much anime at all? Considering you're in
Not
Japan.
in recent years,
Oh, okay. Well then.
but I mean I'm an old school fan of it, but I haven't watched it much of it in recent years.
Yeah, no, cause I saw a couple new series that were I don't know when they were made, but they were fairly new, and I was gonna see if you have
Okay.
seen those, but you know, um,
Sure, sure. What are they called?
oh, Death Parade.
Okay, nope, that would be new.
Well, it's pretty good. It's
Or
basically,
new for me, I should say.
I don't know when it was made. It could have been made this year. I don't remember, or well, I actually didn't
Okay.
see when it was made. I just got a recommendation from somebody and I watched it and I enjoyed it. But no, it's basically, um, once you die, you either go to heaven or hell. But you got to go to
Okay.
purgatory first, so they can decide whether you go to heaven or to hell. And basically, once you die, once these people die, they come in through these elevators, and it's always two people that have some relation to each other and died around the same time. And they walk out of these elevators with no recollection of how they got there or what happened, with no memory of the last, of pretty much their life most of the time. And they walk into this bar, and the bartender convinces them to play a game where their lives are on the line, even though they're already dead, and the bartender brings out the darkness in their soul to determine whether or not this person should go to heaven, aka the depths or the abyss or whatever. I don't remember, or to go to heaven or wait, what? Fuck, dude, I get so
I
confused
felt
on
like that was switched. You mean hell, the depths,
the
the
depths.
like the hell,
Yeah, the
whether to go
hell.
to hell,
Sorry, my bad.
the
Or
abyss.
to go to heaven where they're reincarnated and get to
Okay, I
live
see.
life again. Um, but yeah, no. It was fantastic. Um, if you do get a chance to watch it, I would recommend it. But yeah.
That could fall under. That reminds me of like some elements of it. Anyways, there was this really cool game before I even came over to Japan that was adapted from a Japanese game, obviously translated, called Catherine. Have you heard
So
of this?
it sounds familiar.
It's this really cool, like it's an anime story being told, and it's about this guy who's in a relationship that's kind of reaching, a crossroads, right, between whether he's going to stay with this girl that he's been dating for however long, or this kind of new excitement has entered in his life in the form of this like hot little blonde thing. And each time he goes to sleep at night, it's like he's faced with the moral decision of how to progress further, what he's going to do regarding his relationship. And each day that you spend in the game is then the story progressing further. And each night he goes to sleep, it turns into a puzzle game. And the puzzle game is that he's like climbing this tower, and you
Hmm.
have to manipulate this tower of blocks in a certain way to reach the top of it. And it's
Oh.
always kind of like it's your personal demons that are chasing you up the tower. So like an incredibly symbolic game, while at the same time dealing with just fun puzzles as you climb the tower, and then all this awesome, as though you're watching this really edgy kind of adult anime
Yeah, that game
while
definitely
you're in
sounds
between.
familiar.
It is fantastic. It is absolutely fantastic. It just made me think of that. I was like, I'm not that good at puzzle games, so I watched my friend play it. But when I watched my friend, I was like, this is so cool. It's like I get to watch this wicked anime. I get to enjoy these cool puzzles, and there's all these, darker, more mature concepts in it about like faithfulness and relationships and crossroads in lives and all this great stuff. It was a really, really cool game.
Yeah, that I heard it was well reviewed too. If I'm thinking of the same game.
I believe so. I think it did pretty damn good.
Yeah. So, do you have any other topics offhand that you wanted to talk about?
Not especially. The privacy one was big in my mind. That was kind of at the forefront. But beyond that, I hadn't prepared anything else for discussion. I've been, as I was complaining to you, in a bit of a sleep deficit coming into this. There's some advice for listeners: don't stay up till 3 a.m. consecutively.
Like
I've been doing for the past
week.
Yes, no, don't do what Pladdy's doing. It's not recommended. Not my idea of a good time.
Yeah, no, you mentioned your sleep schedule's been kind of wonky, so I figured, I will mess up my sleeping schedule to make sure that we get the podcast done. And
much appreciated.
It's I'm saying a lot. Fuck words. But no, I was going to say I don't have any more topics on that I can think of at the moment. So I was going to say, why don't we do a little game? And then if we have more topics, we'll do that. And if not, that will be the show.
Sounds good to me.
All right. So I was thinking just a basic game of Would You Rather.
Fantastic.
That's the only game that I know how to do in audio form without video. So, I mean, So, would you like to go first, or would you like me to go first?
If you can go first, I'm always better in the after effect of thinking about these things. Yeah. So if you can start us off here, I'll do the best I can.
All right. Would you rather live in a world where everything works out well, or would you rather live in a world where that one doesn't really work. Shit. It's harder. It's harder to come up with them when you're the first one to go.
Absolutely, it is. Okay. Would you rather be deaf, or would you rather be blind?
I'd rather be deaf, because then I can still play video games.
Yeah, I'd go with that one too.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that was a quick, easy one, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah.
No sound, but you. Okay. Would you rather be able to speak and be understood, or only be spoken to and understand what they say to you? Does that work? I don't even know if that works.
It works. I'm just trying to think. So if somebody speaks to you, you're able to understand it, but they don't understand what you're saying, or you just can't talk.
That's right.
Okay, and if you speak, the people can understand you, but they cannot respond to you.
Yes.
But they can respond in other ways, right? Instead of just speaking.
Well, I suppose you're finding a way around it there, aren't you?
Well, I mean, you mentioned in the first episode where the way that you made that you actually made friends in Japan was by just body language, right?
That's true. Yeah. No, I suppose if you can find a way out, then you're clever enough. Then that works, I suppose.
Yeah, no. So I was thinking I'd rather speak and be understood, and then I could understand how people are feeling by their body language and facial expressions.
Okay, yeah. That's good. It makes you consider different options, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. I gave you two. I think that's pretty good. I had to come up with those.
Would you rather be famous, or would you rather have a best friend become famous?
I that is an excellent one. I gotta I would rather my friend. If I truly had a choice. You know, I fortunately I live in the world where it's like I hope for the both of us that we could become famous. But if I had a choice, I would give it to my friend. I would want that. I would do it for the friend in this case. It'd be a tough one. And a decision I don't even know if I'd, can I take that to my grave? You know, would I be able to say that after that was the fact? Was I happy with it? Um, but in this moment, I'll appear like the selfless person. I'd want my friend to be.
Well, I need you to think of one thing though.
Yeah.
If your best friend becomes famous, will they still be your best friend, or will they think that you're trying to mooch off of them?
I think with this friend, they would know that I would not. They'd know I've had such a desire for them to succeed that they wouldn't worry about that. They would be like, no, this person always wanted me to have success, so they wouldn't worry that once they'd had success, that was the only reason that I was around. I'd feel confident with that. That makes it easier, actually. That's probably the clincher, is that I could be confident that the friend then wouldn't have taken our friendship for granted.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
This one.
That was a good one, though.
This one is, I personally think it's a bit of a trick question.
Okay.
But we'll see if you can if you get the same answer that I do. Would you rather prevent 9/11 or the Holocaust?
I mean, I suppose the immediate answer to that, this being good, this is a dangerous question. I would say the Holocaust, but it's so hard when you consider these sort of moral atrocities, especially something like the Holocaust that I feel taught the world so much about what we didn't want to be as a human race, that provided we've learned something from it, the Holocaust, oh Jesus, this is difficult to talk about, but it has value in the social lesson. It taught us what we should never be. And if it never occurred, then we wouldn't have so clearly defined what is the worst thing that could possibly happen in the world. So given that perspective, given that bizarre perspective, but then another way that you could come at it is from, I feel like that 9/11 has legitimized a lot of fearful behavior in the world. It's like because 9/11 came about, that it's legitimized a lot of people's phobias, where if you stop 9/11, then you wouldn't have legitimized all these phobias. That is a tough one, man. I don't know if I have an answer to that one that's not, going to go all over the place. You stumped me with that one.
Really?
Yeah, that's like there's just that when every decision, getting up in the morning and what I'm going to make for breakfast has an infinite number of options. That one has take infinite squared. That is an excellent but very difficult question. Well worth years and years and years of thought.
Yeah. Well, on a first thought, I would say I would stop 9/11. Now,
Okay.
this is probably going to be super controversial, but stay with me here. If it wasn't for the Holocaust, how far progressed do you think that we would actually be as humans? Because like you said, the Holocaust taught us we can't be like this, and
Yes.
there's a standard for leaders to uphold. And they now these leaders need to withhold these standards and not be somebody like Adolf Hitler was. Now, as far as
Yes.
9/11 goes, without 9/11 happening, would ISIS be a thing? Would wars in the Middle East be a thing? Would any of that kind of stuff be a thing? Would the TSA still be around? Would maybe the Middle East and the United States and all that, maybe we would all become allies and everything would be happy. For all we know, preventing 9/11 could have been the reason why there were no longer any wars between the U.S. and the Middle East.
I mean, that's a big thing, right? Like I was saying, yeah, it's kind of like fan the flames of so much further conflict. Yeah, yours is definitely an interesting perspective on that end of things, definitely.
Yeah. So you got two more. You need me to get some more? What do you think?
Oh geez, I got caught up in yours were quite good, so if you could only visit one more oh, that's not a would you rather. I could turn it into
I mean,
a would you rather.
It works though. It works though. Hypothetical
If you
situations.
could only
Would you
visit
rather?
if you could only visit one more place in your life, where would it be?
Japan, because I've never been to Japan before. And
okay, and you have this great interest in there. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. That was.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why I started watching your videos, because I was super interested in the topic. So, you know.
Okay.
And if I wasn't interested in the topic, this podcast would never be a thing. Going back to about like 7 months ago, but you know, it's the domino effect. If you,
yes,
say,
absolutely,
you know.
it is. Okay, yeah, I gave you an easy one there. That was like, would you rather eat pizza or cake for the rest of your life? It was,
I mean, that's
not much thought.
That's actually a hard one.
That's a hard one?
Yeah.
I think I would have to have pizza, I think.
Really, though?
A life without pizza, I don't think, is a life worth living.
I mean, but think about how many kind of cakes there are, and if you're saying it like you won't gain any weight from it, or you will gain weight from it.
Or will you gain the weight? I hadn't added that into the equation. I'm not sure about the weight thing. I feel you should still be calorically responsible for whatever it is that you're eating.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, though.
And there's so many different pizzas.
So
many different cakes. What about the pizzas, man?
I understand. What about the pizzas? But you think about it, though. Which one tastes better? You can have a shitty pizza, but how many times have you eaten a shitty cake?
You'd be surprised, my friend. I've had a shitty cake.
Really?
I mean, I suppose I've had a
the way
shitty pizza.
The way that you said that, it just sounded so sexual. I've had a shitty cake.
Although, actually, you know what? I'm limiting that in the wrong way. It could be. It would be. I'm thinking of pies. I'm including pies with cakes, and I don't think that should be the case, because pies are totally separate things.
Yeah, pies are a completely different thing. If anything, pies should be incorporated with pizza, because they're both kind of similar. I suppose that's true.
They often are referred to as pies. I know in New York, when you order a pizza, you can refer to it as a pie. I've heard this.
Yeah.
I have yet to confirm that absolutely, but I'm 90% sure you can order 2 pies. And you are referring to pizza when you live in New York.
Yeah, I mean, nowadays people would probably look at you like, "What the fuck are you saying, you old ass bitch?" But because I don't know if anybody in New York still calls it a pie under the age of 40. But yeah.
Come on, maybe. I don't know. Fuck, I don't know. Somebody from New York watch this and tell us if it's still pies.
Yeah,
I think it is.
I think they just say pizza.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Me personally, I've had subpar cakes, but I've also had fantastic ones. I've had pizzas that were just completely just terrible.
This garbage would gag a rat.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd choose cake. I'd choose cake, personally.
I choose cake.
I want my cake and I want to eat it too.
This is like the anticlimactic ending. We've gone from discussing the Holocaust to 9/11 to do we eat cake or pizza.
Yeah.
We're horrible.
I mean, you know.
Trivializing.
You know.
Yeah, well, yep.
Yeah, well, you know, it happens. It happens. Would you rather work as a cashier for the rest of your life or be a prostitute for the next 5 years?
Well, I feel like that's easy. I would be a male gigolo if I can, I don't know, it depends on my clientele. Are the women am I like a male host in a Japanese bar where there's some super beautiful, lonely Japanese wives who are coming in who are just, needing love and attention?
I was
if
thinking,
I'm selling my body for cheeseburgers like Randy or whatever from the Trailer Park Boys. I don't. that would be. I don't know.
I was thinking you're more of a streetwalker kind of prostitute.
Streetwalker prostitute for 5 years, or cashiers. If I say I would rather be a prostitute for 5 years than a cashier, some people, they have been cashiers for their whole lives and they've not done the. We have really taken a chunk out of cashiers. I'm going to say I'd rather be a prostitute.
Wow, roasted, cashiers.
Sorry to all the cashiers.
Get roasted.
Yeah.
Oh.
Sorry, cashiers. You know.
Dude, there are managers of grocery stores that are still cashiers.
True.
You could always get a pay raise.
You could make a lot of money as a prostitute.
I mean, you could make a lot of money as a prostitute for your pimp.
Now you're being specific. I would be independent.
Then that wouldn't work out very well though for you.
No? Why do you have such a wide knowledge of the prostitution industry? There's something you're not telling me, Pladdy.
I mean, actually, no. There's nothing I'm not telling you here. I mean, I'm just going off of what I heard from other people, and I mean.
Oh, you have a friend. You have a friend, eh?
No, I have podcasts that I listen to.
For a while.
I have multiple podcasts that I listen to. You know, man, it's not only this podcast that I actually listen to. It's not only.
Fair enough.
I'm not that narcissistic, mate.
Okay,
but
yeah.
No.
I only listen to my own podcast. That's
but
awesome.
No, there is literally a website called Backpage.com that people tend to prank call a lot. Well, used to prank call a lot on podcasts, and it was a kind of known thing that if she didn't have a pimp, she wasn't working.
Okay.
So
I see. So it's fundamental.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's either a prostitute with a pimp for 5 years or a cashier, where you can get a pay raise.
You amended it. Is my pimp nice? Is it like a she and she's a nice lady and we go for lunches and we have a good working relationship?
I mean,
mean?
I'd say it's like how you've mentioned in some of your videos on the Travel Channel that you can get really nice teachers that teach with you and principals and stuff, but you can also get the ones that are just complete dicks.
Jeez, I don't know. I'm getting cornered here. Cashiering is starting to look more appealing.
It's a toss-up.
Okay, and cashiers are pulling their hair out. They're like, "What is a toss-up? You made it even worse." And you're still like, "I don't know about that cashier."
Oh, dude.
Oh well.
Dude, you're indirectly roasting the fuck out of people who are cashiers right now.
I know. Well, they're good. I'd say nothing of them personally. They're great people. I'm just not a big fan of cashiering.
No, I know. Yeah. Hey, my mom was a cashier once.
So was mine, and
I mean,
and she's, bless her heart, she was a good woman. She is a good woman.
Yeah.
All right, so is that the note we'll end on? Dave would rather be a prostitute than a cashier, I suppose.
Well, I mean, we can keep on going if you got more. I got so many.
I hate to cut it short, but I should go. I've got like mad goals tonight for movie creation.
God damn it.
To work through, so I'm gonna be up for some time.
God damn it! This is the fourth time where you've ended the show.
I apologize. Well, what did we make it to? I hope over an hour.
Oh yeah, an hour and 23 minutes. No, yeah. No, I'm not actually upset that you ended the show. It's all good.
Okay, cool, good. I figure as long as I make it over an hour, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, as long as it's not 20 minutes of us just talking about Ex Machina, like, damn, that would be terrible for the people that haven't seen Ex Machina before.
Exactly. Would have cut off viciously.
So for the people who haven't seen Ex Machina, you got a whole hour and 4 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Plus whatever we're doing for the outro. So, yeah. For all you guys that have seen Ex Machina, I mean, you guys got a full show. So, consider yourselves lucky.
Yeah.
But yeah, so since it's the end, as usual, we got to do our plugs and shit. So.
Yes.
You go ahead and do your plugs.
Okay, please do check out Dave Trippin, my travel channel. That's the other channel that this is not on, and you can see cool tours of Japan, Japanese apartments, white guys speaking Japanese. Aside from that, check out my website if you'd like to see my writing, soon to be published book, Stoneheart. That's charlesdjameson.com. And for all else where you've arrived to find this, all my gaming wares are available. So please do stop by frequently, subscribe, like, and comment. And I look forward to communicating with you, the community. And if you have any questions, be they about Japan, life, or gaming, or otherwise, don't be hesitant. Get a hold of me at my email, davetrippinon@gmail.com, which is down in the information available on all my videos. So thank you very much.
All right. And as always, go ahead and follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Twitch. Also follow Dave on Twitch. I don't think he mentioned that in his plugs.
I never mention it, and I should. Yeah,
no,
I'm on Twitch too.
You
can find that for my gaming.
Yeah. And, of course, it'll be linked down below, so go ahead and click on it. At least if you're clicking on my videos. If you're clicking on Dave's videos, just go to his YouTube profile and click on the little twitch.tv link widget thing and go to his channel and click the follow button. And when you get the sub button, pay $5 to subscribe to him because he gets that money. You gotta make that cash money, right? But yeah, guys, nevertheless, it's been your Plaid. And your boy, the Great Owl, a.k.a. Dave, a.k.a. Swaggy Master Pete, a.k.a. so much work he doesn't go to bed at proper times.
Yes,
but
yes.
Yeah, nevertheless, spin your Plaid. I just said that. And peace out, motherfuckers.
All right, peace.